Well, this isn't quite the face that you're used to seeing when he comes on, but he's out chasing our guest around, so who has appeared. But you know what? The man of the hour is finally here, so I get out of here and give his show back to him. Everybody, the Rev, you're on, my friend.
I'm live?
You are. Not just
Uh,
Rex, it is really you.
did we find my guest yet?
Yes, yes, she is waiting for us.
Oh,
So,
very good. I will get started then. Thank you, brother.
no problem.
Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, and thank you so much for um, spending an hour out of your busy Friday afternoon. Are you, well, if you're watching me, then you're not one of the many, many, many people around the world that seem to be having not only computer issues, but big time YouTube and Facebook issues. Like I haven't been able to log on to Facebook all week long. Don't ask me how I somehow did a triple roundabout through my computer here to get on, but I made it happen. So, and for all of you that aren't with us, you will be in our prayers and you can catch the replay of the show later. So, great show today. You're going to love my guest. That's why you tuned in. You already know her and love her, so I'll get to her right away. But to all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Reverend Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Sean the Rev. Welcome to my haunted house, my very haunted house. And I don't think it's going to be quiet because it's already active right now, and that's because of my guest. I'm sure. I know she's haunted. I don't know if she'll admit to that, but I know she's haunted. Let's get to the prayer urn. I know I said I wasn't going to pick it up anymore. It's heavy, but I did. Alrighty. Betty C. from Washington State. Hi, Betty. An old, long-time friend of mine just passed away from a drug overdose. Oh, Betty, I'm so sorry. Please pray for her. Her name is Jenny. And pray she forgives me for not being there. Oh, Betty, you're breaking my heart here. First of all, let me say this. Your friend already forgives you, and God already forgives her, and our God is a very forgiving God, so there's nothing to forgive you for. So don't feel that way. I'm going to offer up a very nice prayer for Betty. Actually, because we know why, because we know what is behind something like a drug overdose, I'm going to get a little more serious here with the prayer, okay? Okay, purification prayer for your friend. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. I offer this prayer up for Betty's friend, Jenny. Jesus, pour thy precious blood over me, my body, mind, soul, and spirit, my conscious and subconscious, my intellect and will, my feelings, thoughts, emotions, and passions, my words and actions, my vocation, my relationships, family, friends, and possessions. Protect with thy precious blood all other activities in my life. Lord, I dedicate all of these things to thee, and I acknowledge thee as Lord and Master of all. Mary, Immaculate Conception, pure and holy Virgin, Mother of our Lord Jesus Christ, draw each of us under thy veil. Guard me and shield me against all attacks and temptations that would violate the virtue of chastity. Lord Jesus Christ, I beg thee for the grace to remain guarded beneath the protected mantle of Mary, surrounded by the holy briar, from which was taken the holy crown of thorns, and saturated with thy precious blood. In the power of the Holy Spirit, with our guardian angels, and for the greater glory of the Father. Amen. And I know you didn't ask for this, Betty, but I am going to light a big candle for your friend. I offer this candle up for Jenny. May the Holy Spirit engulf her in nothing but love and light and welcome them into the kingdom of the Lord. Amen. I'll try and reach out to you also later, Betty. There's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. But Betty, your candle for Jenny will continue to pray with me here while I do the show. Then I will transfer the candle into the room where everybody else's candles are burning, and it will continue to burn for Jenny until it burns out. Okay. Paranormal Ministry mailbag. I'm going to bounce out of this funk right now because when I hear those types of stories, they tend to throw a little bit of a depression on you. And Peter D. from Florida. I'm a Ghostbuster. Good for you, Peter. Is it bad to hunt in a cemetery or train my team members there? You know what? I'm going to keep this question out because this is a good question also for my guest today. I'll make it short and simple. I used to give tours at a pet cemetery here in town. If you conduct yourself there in a very respectful manner, I don't see any reason why not. But you have to be very careful and know what you're doing because you can say and do the wrong thing and end up with an attachment. And usually the attachments that will attach to you from cemetery usually aren't good ones. So you got to be very, very careful. I don't have an issue with it if you make it known to all the spirits there that you come with love and light and total respect and ask for their permission to be there. And then thank them and say goodbye when you leave. But I'm going to ask this of my guests too. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. That's our website. If you go there to visit, keep in mind that my wife and I do not charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, I know times are tough, but if you're able to do so, click on it, send in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we will put it to good use. In addition to being an ordained exorcist, I'm also a certified spiritual advisor. If you're having any issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, and you'd like to speak to the Rev about that, there's a place where you can make an appointment with me on the website there. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll find the Ghost Store. Lots of cool things to buy if you go for that sort of stuff. But scroll down to the bottom of that page, you'll see my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to help the most neediest and most beautiful children on the planet. And you get to help the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book autographed by me, and it'll arrive to you in a house blessing kit if you get it off of the website. But you can also get it a little less expensive at Amazon. Good time to get the book too, because God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2, Chronicles of an American Exorcist, comes out this summer. So it's a really good time to catch up on things before you get the second book. Alrighty, what else do I want to tell you guys? Scroll down a little bit further on that page, you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And this is a course for all you true warriors for Christ who feel a calling and a longing to want to know more about what it takes to really draw your line in the sand, circle the wagons, make a stand, and put up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. This is the course for you. If you want to know more about the course before making that type of commitment, there is a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, or you can just call me and ask me about the course. We'll talk about it. But you can enroll in the course there at the website. All my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly, the Rev. So most importantly, everyone, please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Thank you. All righty. The reason why you all tuned in today. I love her. I respect her. I've known her a long time. I consider her a friend. She is a extremely talented, critically acclaimed author. I don't know, I think she's got well over 20 books, best-selling books out on the paranormal and ghosts and everything, all sorts of things. But she is an elite ghost hunter, ghost buster, paranormal investigator, history and ghost tour docent host. She does a lot of stuff. Radio, TV, film personality. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only JONI Mayhan. JONI, are you with us?
I'm here.
You made it. You don't have any. Well, you're frozen. Are you move a little bit for me? Let me see if you got. There's a little bit of a
Am I
delay.
moving?
You are moving, but you know what? The fact that I see your pretty face today and you've made it, and you're not having too many issues, that's a blessing because so many people. I didn't know if the show was going to happen today because everybody's having so many issues with, especially Facebook. So, God bless you for taking an hour out of your busy Friday evening to spend with us. Thank you so much. And I can't believe it's been, I don't know how long it's been. It's been too long. You have to not take so much time between visits. You got to visit me more often, okay?
Absolutely. Anytime you want me on, you just let me know.
There's something I want to thank you for. And I'm going to have to walk on eggshells here. I'm going to send you a message after the show and ask you if you have a favorite charity or if you have a favorite restaurant there in your town that you like to go to that has, gift cards for, or if there's any place you like to shop at. There's something you did for me about 2.5 years ago, and I know maybe you remember, maybe you don't. And I'm not going to say what it is, but you did something for me about 2.5 years ago, and that favor turned out to result in an extremely wonderful gift from God, life-changing experience for me. And I was hoping by now to be able to just blurt it out and tell everybody what that was. But I will send you a message later and thank you in person for it. But
Oh, wow.
between now and the time that we talk, keep in mind what you would want me to, what really nice favor to pay you back you would like. Like I said, if it's a favorite charity or a favorite restaurant you like to go to, or a favorite place you like to shop at, even if it's for your animals, anything you think about it, and we'll talk about it later. But thank you very much. You've been in my prayers. You've always been in my prayers, but you've really been in my prayers ever since. And it's I'm going to send you a really really heartfelt thank you for something you did for me about 2.5 years ago. Anyway, okay, everybody's right now going, why is JONI on? I thought Holly was going to be on. So I told everybody Holly Mayhan was going to be on, which is your beautiful dog, because I saw the beautiful picture of the two of you on there, and I'm a big dog and cat lover. And then you posted, the reason why I did that was you posted a beautiful picture of the two of you, and then another picture of her on the 4th of July, freaked out about the fireworks. Let's
Oh,
talk
my poor
let's talk
baby.
about how let's talk about your 4th of July, because here in my town, I'm going to get hate mail for this. It's like downtown Beirut here on the 4th of
Yeah.
July. It is. I have to go down and water my trees down. I have to water my roof down. I have to go out every 30 minutes to make sure nothing is on fire, because I am like in this weird pyrotechnic Bermuda Triangle, if you will, where, like, I think the neighborhood one over in front, behind me, and off to the right are three guys that must be professional pyrotechnic guys, because they get the same type of fireworks that you see blast off the top of the casinos, and they go at it. And I don't want to be that guy that calls in the fireworks police, so I never do. But it's brutal. I don't see my cats for days. They're outdoor cats. They come back, but I don't see them for days. My dogs are just like, I gotta sedate them. I gotta put the hard door on the doggy door. I gotta leave them in. I gotta put chairs in front of the window so they don't crash out into the back porch. Crank the TV up as loud as it'll go. Stay with them, close with them all night long. It's just brutal. So talk to me about your 4th of July, and if you had a good one, and did Holly survive?
Holly survived. Unfortunately, I had a ghost walk, and I do ghost walks here in my town of New Harmony, Indiana. And I had a ghost walk that Saturday night when they were lighting a lot of them off. But 4th of July, I was actually able to be home with her. And she has her special happy pill that she takes. It helps keep her calmer, which I didn't have last year. And just kind of sat with her and try to keep her comforted. And my cats, they all ran under the beds, and everybody was a little bit freaked out because it was like gunfire outside. It was scary. It wasn't necessarily just pretty fireworks. It was people shooting off just noisemakers, and nobody really enjoyed that. So we just got through it. It's like it's a thing every year. We know it's coming, and we just try to be prepared for it and get through it. Not my favorite holiday.
Oh my gosh. It's not a lot of people, it's not their favorite holiday anymore, because so many people seem to hate our country right now, and I don't know what that's all about. But um, I was in the service, and my father was a 25-year retired Master Chief from the Navy. So I love our country, and I love fireworks. If it's done safely and in the right places. So it's crazy here, but I'm glad everybody there survived, and I guess that's all I can really say. I have questions for you from fans and followers of you. The list isn't very big, but we'll get to them, okay?
Okay.
Your first fan wants to know, and you already answered the question, if you're still doing the Haunted New Harmony Ghost Walk-In Tour, and just how haunted is New Harmony?
Well, not only am I still doing the tours, we added a second tour, a totally
really?
different second tour to our agenda. So there's enough haunted buildings in town that we're able to have two different tours. And tonight we're going to be doing both of them. So as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to go put on my Haunted New Harmony shirt and lead people around town. And I have 4 people who do tours for me as well now. So we've grown over the last 5 years. And so they'll be leading more people around. So we have a good time. The town's haunted. It's not negatively haunted. It's the kind of place where people don't want to leave. So we end up with a lot of people that love this town so much that they decide to spend their afterlife here instead of moving on to heaven. So it's entertaining, yeah, and they're interactive. We have investigations here frequently, and the ghosts will talk to us. They'll interact with us. It's interesting. It's an old historic town, so it was founded in 1814. So it's been around longer than the state of Indiana was a state.
That's incredible. I've talked to many people about your tour. some that have been on it, many that haven't, but have heard firsthand from other people, or secondhand, if you will, from other people that have been on it. I have never heard one person ever say that they weren't thoroughly just enjoyed it. No one's been, disappointed by anything, just loved it. And you speak about the New Harmony Ghost Walk shirts. Those are very cool. Do you give those out? Like here, there's a haunted tour that here in town that I haven't been on in years. And they give you these, matter of fact, I have them right here. They give you these dowsing rods.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But do you give those out to the people that sign up for the tour, or do they have to go onto the website and purchase them?
I sell them. Yeah, I sell them at events. I don't have them on my website yet, but I'm going to be adding them probably in the next week. So I just got a big batch of t-shirts in, so I'm really excited.
Oh, they're cool looking. They're very cool looking.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of people call me up for advice on, and I don't know why they call me for the advice, but they call me up for advice on either putting together a Paracon or a paranormal conference, or forming a ghost tour somewhere, depending on where they're at. They know some locations that are haunted and they got permission to go there. I always advise them, don't do it. Because if they're really going to do it, they're going to do it anyhow. But it is hard, extremely hard work, putting that type of thing together. And I find the reason I know why you're so successful, one, because of you, the way you are, but two, because the way you do your tours, it's a bit history lesson / ghost walk. A lot of ghost tours is just, people are advertising haunted. And then there's your history tours, many tours that started out just like a history tour. They experience so much paranormal activity at different locations, they end up forming like a second tour, and it's just the ghost tour. But talk to me about how you even got started in that biz. And for anybody that's listening now going, oh, I'm glad he asked that question because I want to start a tour. Talk about all of that stuff, the history of New Harmony and how you got into touring and how that even became a ghost walk tour and all of that.
Well, I grew up in this area and ended up moving to Massachusetts when I got married in my early 20s. And I was there for 30 years because once you have kids somewhere, that's pretty much where you are. And my kids grew up and left the nest, and I really wasn't seeing much of them. And I thought, my parents are still alive. I'd like to spend some time with my parents while I still have parents. So I ended up moving back to Indiana 6 years ago. And I should say I did not choose the town of New Harmony. The town of New Harmony chose me. I was very much drawn here. It was close to where I grew up, and I was very much aware of it growing up, but something just pulled me here. I knew I needed to be in this community. And I really wasn't thinking about ghosts or anything. It was a place to heal, a place to grow, and a place to settle down. And I was just enamored. It's a cute little town. It's a population of 800, and it's a quaint town with a lot of historic homes and buildings. And it's a tourist town. So there's a lot of interesting tourism options for people to come visit. And it wasn't until I really got started getting settled that I started walking around and I started feeling the presence of ghosts in almost every building. And I thought, well, I know why I was pulled here now. And I'm a paranormal author. What do I do? I start asking questions. I start asking people about the ghost stories and realized that there were a lot of ghost stories being passed down from generation to generation, and the town was very haunted. And so the more I poked, the more experiences I started having, and I ended up writing the book Haunted New Harmony. And once I was finished with that book, I realized that I really enjoyed telling those stories. And so I thought, well, a lot of the buildings were lined up in a 4-block radius, so I could walk around and tell people these stories. And so I started the business, and it's been very successful. We're up to 5 tour guides now, and we do walks. Sometimes we'll do 2 walks a night on the weekends. So we've had as many as 4 walks a night, just depending on what's going on. But this town is really unique in the fact that it is the site of 2 former utopian societies. So the first one happened in 1814. A German Lutheran man named George Rapp was trying to escape religious persecution in Germany and ended up bringing his flock to the United States. And they set up a town from the ground up, actually in Pennsylvania. That was where they started, Harmony, Pennsylvania. And they didn't get along with their neighbors so much. And after 10 years they were there, they couldn't expand. Nobody would sell them land. So they ended up picking up and moving this way. And they bought 27,000 acres along the Wabash River,
Wow.
which is where we are right now. And this was nothing but swamp and woods at that point. And they built this town from the ground up, and they were here for 10 years. And something really interesting about that group, though, and what I think may attribute to a lot of the hauntings, is that typical of that era, he thought that the second coming of Christ was going to happen. And so he wanted his group to be as pure as the state of Adam. So people that came to him as married couples now had to live as brother and sister. So the whole group was celibate. And I think a lot of people that died here, I mean, they lost 150 people their first summer here to malaria because the mosquitoes were so bad. And I think a lot of those people that maybe died before they ended up moving back to Pennsylvania, maybe stuck around. Like they're like, I'm not going anywhere because Jesus is coming. I don't want to miss Jesus. So, some of the hauntings could be a lot of those harmonists waiting for Jesus to come. And but he, they decided after 10 years, he was keeping his group busy. Second coming of Christ never happened. And so they moved back to Pennsylvania, set up their third and final utopian society because, they weren't making new little harmonists. So that's kind of where they died out. But before they left, they sold the town lock, stock, and barrel to a man who couldn't have been more different from them. And that was a very wealthy Welsh social reformer named Robert Owen. And his version of utopia didn't revolve around hard work and religion. It revolved around education, science, social reform. He brought over a boatload of scientists to help studies. And they were very progressive. Women were able to own property. This is like 1826. Women were able to wear pants. But he was probably more of a dreamer than a doer. And his utopia only lasted for about 2 years. But some of the things that he got started ended up taking root here. And in fact, this town was the site of the very first kindergarten anywhere in the United States. And the building is still standing. So, and that's the other thing. A lot of these buildings, New Harmony puts money back into these buildings. They just put a new roof on our Working Men's Institute, which is our town library and museum. And that roof cost $750,000. So nice slate and copper roof. They put the money into these things. And so they still look like they did back in the day when these people lived here. So we really enjoy this town. It's not a negative. There's a couple grumpy ghosts. I think there's grumpy ghosts everywhere. Just like there's grumpy people. But for the most part, it's very congenial. We enjoy the ghosts, and I feel like they enjoy us bringing back their stories, because we've dug into the history. We know who lived in these houses. We know the things that they were passionate about. We talk about them. And sometimes they come out and entertain us. We'll have things happen. Things will move in the windows. Or one night I was doing a ghost walk in a...
Oh, she froze up on us. Maybe she'll pop back in here. Your signal's trying to come back in. You froze on us. Are you okay? Can you hear me and see me?
I can see you.
We'll get through this. Yeah, I can. Okay. Yeah, we'll get through this. But you froze, and then I didn't hear you or see you anymore. There you go. I just saw you blink. We'll get through this. I know we will. I'm praying we get through this.
All right.
Okay, let me throw this at you. Your phone rings. You answer. You don't know me, but I introduced myself as Reverend Sean Whittington, and I'm thinking about starting a ghost tour. Do you got any advice or helpful hints, or how do I go about doing it?
Oh, setting up your own ghost walk? Knowing the history and knowing the ghost stories is very important. Plotting out a route. That my ghost walk is 90 minutes long, so I make sure I have enough places to talk about and places for people to sit at times so they can rest as I'm talking. and just having the right people tell the stories, because over the years we've tested out a few people, and some people are just not adept at being a showman out, because you've got to kind of work the crowd. You've got to tell these stories with a little bit of passion, a little bit of pause for emphasis, and not everybody can do it effectively. But we've got some outstanding ghost tour people now, and everybody tells it a little bit differently. So that's the other thing, is allowing your tour guides to do their own thing. I mean, they're supposed to follow it in with the general outline of the Ghost Walk tour, but each one of them will tell a different story, something that happened to them or something they find more profound. And so each one of our tours is just slightly different. And I love it. I love it. And just knowing your audience, knowing your area, knowing what to talk about, what people are interested in, because you're going to get skeptics, and that's fine. But people love my tours because it's about half history, half ghost stories. So they learn something, and we talk interesting stories, not just the spook stories, like, about the people that live here and things that happen to them that people can't get enough of.
You mentioned earlier history, and I do agree 100% how important that is. And somewhere I heard somebody once say that a haunting is just history wanting its story told. But I found my experience with spirit is that they do long to have their story told. They don't want to be forgotten, and sometimes they don't intentionally mean to attach to you, but your light is like that to a mosquito on the back porch, a mosquito light, a zapper, where they're just drawn to it. I experience more on and some of the ones that are here in my home may still be from back in the day when I had my tour at the pet cemetery, animals and human. But you've been doing this such a long time, and I know the way your personality is, and I know you're very sensitive. I don't know if you've admitted to it, but I suspect you have quite a bit of psychic ability. Have any of these followed you home, just really end up liking you, and I want to be around this woman, and following you home and taking up residence in your house and making themselves known to you, that now they're part of your life because you've done this favor for them by telling their story and keeping the town alive in that way? Do you experience much of that?
I was looking over at my bookcase to see if I had a book that I could show you. One of my books is called Ghost Magnet. And that's because I am a ghost magnet. I am a medium. I don't really call myself a psychic medium, although I do get psychic impressions sometimes. I don't do readings, so I'm not that talented. I'm a half decent medium. I'm not a good one, but something about my energy and my light brings them in, and I don't even have to leave the house. I can pull in attachments. They find me. Maybe they come in from the astral plane. I'm not sure, but a lot of them are people wanting help or just wanting to be with me. They like the way I feel. It's like, you're out walking around and you meet somebody and you're like, well, I really like that person. I think I want to hang out with them. Well, I get that a lot, but my people are invisible. So I always have a house full. Most of the time they're good. When they're bad, I have a secret weapon on how to move them along and cross them over. And that secret weapon is Shaman Michael Robichaud. So he helps me more than I'd like to admit, but he gives me that safety net. So I'm still able to go out and do what I love doing, which is investigating the paranormal and looking at the unknown and trying to figure it out, learn more. A lot of what I do is research, just because I'm fascinated by the paranormal world and trying to learn more about what happens to us when we die and don't go to heaven. There's a lot of people here, but there's not as many here as if everybody stayed earthbound, because then, we'd be, I don't know, I'd have a lot more here than I do right now. But he allows me to be able to do that without fear of bringing something really awful home. And, it's been a good union. So I think part of it is, and I preach this to people, especially if you're a medium or somebody with sensitive abilities, when you go out and you investigate the paranormal, Always be respectful, of course, like you talked about with the cemeteries. I think that's true for any location you go to, remembering that you are probably talking to people who once walked this earth and they had their own handful of things that happened to them and reasons why they didn't cross over. So they've got their own baggage, and don't go out and poke them hoping that they'll just give you a good EVP or an experience. Realize that you're talking to probably a very damaged human being, maybe need compassion. And also have a backup plan in case something negative, because there are negative, nasty ghosts out there. I've written a lot of books about the experience that I've had. Not all my ghost stories have been pleasant. A lot of them have been really horrific. And in the beginning, I did not have a good backup plan. What would happen if something followed me home? And you picture the worst bad guy from any movie, just walking, Freddy Krueger or something like that, taking up residency in your house, and you can't see him. You don't know what he's doing, but he's there. And, until I was able to find Michael, I was really in a bad place. I had a house full of nasty ones that were pulling energy from me and making my life miserable. So always have a backup plan, know what you're going to do, understand paranormal protection. What works for one person won't work for somebody else. And, a strong faith helps a lot. So those are my tips.
I talk to a lot of people who sometimes I get this look from people when I tell them how many paranormal investigators reached out to me for help because they jumped into this thing as an innocent hobby. They're passionate about it, but an innocent hobby, but no training really. I don't know, really how you just decide on where you're going to go for training. But they find themselves at the wrong place at the wrong time, saying and doing the wrong thing. Most of them believe in provocation. And I'll ask them, why'd you do that? Well, if I don't provoke, then they're not active. And I don't worry about it anyways, because ghosts can't hurt you. So lots of these people like that, they're scared of like the non-human entities that never inhabited a body before, like many of the shadow figure apparitions or demons. But I beg to differ with them all the time and say, no, ghosts can hurt you, and you got to be careful. And provoking them is not cool. That's why you have an attachment now. Give advice to all those people out there that believe in religious provocation when they go to these sites. Do provoke. They provoke the spirits to try to get a activity from them. Address that what ghosts, just a regular disembodied human spirit, if it's not liking you, what they can do to you.
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say was, suppose your grandmother died and for whatever reason got stuck, in her house. Would you like it if a bunch of people went over and started bullying her and poking at her, trying to get her to talk to them to get an EVP? Because you never know who you're talking to. You can go to a location and they'll say, oh, there's a really negative ghost here. But you don't, unless you're a psychic medium, and even if you are a psychic medium, you don't necessarily know who you're talking to. And you could be completely berating some poor lost soul that didn't deserve it. And the other thing that I think about is that I learned this early on from a mentor, that most anger stems from hurt. And that's true with the living and the dead. So if you get an angry ghost, something bad happened to them at some point during their life that made them angry like that. And we've reached out with compassion and have helped them find their way to the other side, just by understanding what's going on with them and why they're so angry. If you are truly picking on something that's angry and negative, maybe even inhuman, they are capable of doing a lot of harm. They can push you down the stairs. They can get into your head. That's probably one of the worst things. I've had it happen numerous times and had other people have it happen, is that it's not even a full-on possession, but a really highly intelligent ghost can get into someone's head and start giving them negative thoughts. It can make their world dark and bring on things like depression that they may not have had before, start putting dark thoughts in their heads. And I remember one case that I helped Michael get to was one of my friends contacted me, and she had a daughter who had been in college, was a vibrant art student, and just a really outgoing social person. And she moved in with her boyfriend to his house, and almost immediately her personality changed. She was keeping the blinds closed. She wasn't talking to anybody, and she dropped out of school, wasn't doing art anymore. And everything kind of just changed for her. And she asked me for help, and I ended up connecting her with Michael, and he remotely went in and pulled out 3 really nasty, dark entities that were whispering in her ear, getting to her thoughts, changing her whole world. And once he was able to remove those, she moved out of that house, broke up with that boyfriend who wasn't a good influence, and went back to school. And she's back to, being the person she was before that all began. So, there's ways that they can get to you that you're not aware of. And I have so many cases of that. I mean, I've had negative ones come home with me, and just because they're not throwing the couch across the room doesn't mean they're not capable of impacting you. Imagine feeling like somebody's standing behind you all the time, following you around, watching everything you're doing. And if you're sensitive, you feel that. They don't have to be there. You don't have to see them. You just know they're there. And it just drives you mad after a while. You never have a sense of privacy. You're always worried. Your pets start reacting, yiping in pain because something just hurt them, or staring at the corners. And, you start staring at the corners too. It wears you down after a while. So paranormal protection is no joke. And provocation is something nobody should ever do. It's aggressive. It'd be like provoking the living. And if people ever try to do that on any of my ghost walks or any of my investigations, they are booted out. We don't tolerate it at all, because the dead were living once, and you wouldn't do that to a living person. So why would you do it to somebody you just can't see?
Oh my, so well said, and such great advice. And it's funny, these malevolent, the really not so happy disembodied human spirits, in that sense, are very much like malevolent entities and the demonic. It's sleep deprivation. Whenever you start to relax and want to doze off, whether it's a nap or sleeping at night, they make sure they don't let you sleep. And that's when you start getting worn down. And you hear that term loosely thrown around, energy vampires.
Yeah.
It's just like that. Yeah, you get, and then it snowballs, and it just affects every part of your life and changes you. It changes you, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with possession. So yeah, it's I advise people against it all the time. And unfortunately, I have colleagues in this field of spiritual warfare that do a fair amount of religious provocation when they go to work cases and stuff. And I don't judge, and it's not for me to tell them how to go about doing their thing, but I always, when they ask, I'm at the ready to let them know I don't believe in that, and I don't think it's a good thing, and here's why. And I try to get them to change that part of their approach. But yeah, I agree 100% with everything you said, and that's why you are so successful in everything you've done in this field. I wish there were so many more, and I know there are a lot out there like you, but I wish there were so many more people like you in the paranormal community, because it's just it has always been, still is, and will always have just way more drama than there needs to be in it. And that's what holds us back, our field back. I'm going to ask you to address, you can say anything you want to say and talk about anything you want to talk about. I would like you to address the drama in this field. And I would also like you to address, I'm a believer that the paranormal investigative field has always been, still is, and will always be a spiritual journey. All of these people that are out there, okay, coming at it with the scientific approach, that's cool, but that still isn't going to really get you to where they think it's going to get them in the long run. I still believe it's a spiritual journey. So address the drama, address what being in this field is really all about for you.
Well, I think starting off with what this field is all about is it's going to be different for everybody because everybody has different agendas going into it. But for me, it started with the desire to know what happens to me after I die. And I had had enough paranormal experiences that I knew that not everybody crosses over and goes to heaven, that there was something to, the ghost story. And so I wanted to learn more about that and get out there and figure out why these people didn't cross over and what, a lot of it goes back to just personal. I want to know so that I don't end up in their spot. And I want to make sure that my ever after is a happy one. And also to help them if I can help them make their ever after happier, then I'm going to do that. And I think that a lot of people get into this. It becomes kind of a contest. There's a lot of people wanting to be on TV. They want to be on these shows. And they think that if they get out there and they get the best EVP or they get the best video audio recording, they're going to be noticed and taken account for and put on something. And what they need to know is that fame is not worth all the damage that they do to the field and to their friends and to everybody out there watching them, because chances are if they get on a paranormal show, it's going to have a season, or maybe they'll have a spot on it. And being on TV isn't everything, and it shouldn't be the goal, but it is. Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, and that's not what it's about. It's about learning more. And I feel like if we could all get together and share resources, share information, and be able to learn more together collectively, because as a whole, we're stronger than we are individually. And if we're all out there for ourselves, it's a selfish thing to do when we could be sharing information and finding out just, more together. And learning, it's like you got to go back and say, why am I in this field to begin with? And if it's to have a black shirt, and be able to stand there like a Backstreet Boys poster in front of a haunted location, yeah. And have a YouTube channel where you have your recent investigations, then you're probably in it for the wrong reason. I take a lot of pictures when I go on investigations. We just did Ashmore Estates in Ashmore, Illinois. And it was fascinating. For me, I love the sense of history and the fact that I am allowed to just have full roam of this 3-story asylum. And then also, getting in there and trying to communicate with the souls that lived there before and learn their stories. And, I would love to connect with other people that had been there to see if they had similar things happen to them. And, if we share that stuff, then the next people that go in may be able to build on it. And, maybe we can help some of them or just at least learn more about their stories. But it's not about the TV appearances or the best EVP. I've been on TV once and I'm getting ready to be on another show soon. But, that's not why I do it. They happen to find me and ask me to be on. And I'll do it because maybe it'll help me sell more books. I really want people to read my books and learn more about what I want to, I don't necessarily support myself with my writing. I support myself with my ghost walks, to be honest. But I've shared this information in my books to help people so that they can, read about some of the things that me and other people have experienced and be able to use that information to help them either further themselves or further, their ghost experiences. So, it's all about being in unity, which I know para-unity is one of those things that will never happen because there's too many diverse personalities in the paranormal field, but I would like to see some of us that are willing to work together to unify a little bit more.
Absolutely. And on that note, before we run out of time, let me make sure everybody knows everything they need to know about you. And if I forget anything, please forgive me. Your website is www.JONIMAYHAN, JONIMAYHAN, all one word, .com. For the person, I'm going to ask you about Ashmore Estates if we have time here in a second, but for the person who's new to you, and I can't think of anybody that's watching that doesn't already know you and love you, but recommend recommend your best book of the many. What are you, 23, 24 books out now?
24. Yeah.
Oh my
24.
gosh. I'm struggling just to get my second one out. Recommend the best first buy for a newcomer to the Joni Mayhan experience, and then tell us about your personal favorite.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's like asking me to pick my favorite child. You know,
Yeah.
it depends on what you're looking for. You know, behind me, you can see the Hanover Haunting book cover on the wall. If you want a good ghost story, Bones in the Basement, Surviving the S.K. Pierce Haunted Victorian Mansion, or Hanover Haunting are very, very good true stories that happen about people that are being haunted. You want to learn more about me and my journey and some of my most terrifying experiences, you can read Soul Collector or Ghost Magnet's it's a pretty interesting book. It's got some really scary stories and some funny stories in it. But you know, if you're wanting to learn how to connect with loved ones coming to visit you, I have a book called Signs of Spirits. I had it up here on my desk a minute ago, but you know, Dark and Scary Things, A Sensitive's Guide to the Paranormal is another good one. I just, you know, my favorite book though, and it's one that just did not get enough attention, is Lightning Strikes. It was my very first published book, and it's fiction. It's a part of a trilogy. And it kind of got creepy because I wrote this, like, I don't know, 2019. And it follows a character surviving after a pandemic wipes out half the population. So it has paranormal aspects to it. It's very scary. Somebody just recently picked it up and said, "You didn't warn me that this is the scariest book you've ever written," but it's uplifting. And so it's Lightning Strikes, Ember Rains, and Angel Storm. It's 3 books. Those are my favorites. My first one's my favorite. I actually go back and read those every few years. And it's, you know, it's good to have a bad memory because I can read them like I didn't write them, and I entertain myself with my own books. So
That's great. That's phenomenal. And you mentioned Ashmore. Wow, that's intense. An asylum, just like cemeteries, you got to be careful.
yeah,
You got to know what you do, and you don't want to make anything mad. And you want to be respectful, and you want to do what you got to do to protect you and protect your team. And a lot of investigators don't do that. They go, "Oh, I have to do something to protect the team." How do you protect the team? And you know, God bless them. If I feel that they are truly passionate about it, I don't come down on them too hard and like you're in the wrong, you know, you picked the wrong hobby. But I just say, listen, this is a spiritual journey. You don't want your spirit, your own personal spirit, your bubble, um, to
mm-hmm.
to be invaded and be taken. You know, have things happen to you spiritually that you don't want to happen. So be nice.
Right. And we had a really profound moment. We just did this Wednesday night. So this has been 2 days ago. We were in a room that looked like it could have been used for like bingo, or, you know, this place was also a nursing home its last few years. And I said, you know, and I even said it aloud. I said, I know that you get tired of all these people coming in and barking questions at you. I'd like to entertain you for a little bit. Would you like to listen to some music? And they had a sensor on the stair lights. So if anybody got near the stairs, the light would come on, and nobody was anywhere near it, and that light came on. So I asked one of the people in the groups, if he could play some music on his phone. And he said, "How about Elvis?" And I said, "Yes." And so he played an Elvis love song. And we just all sat there as a group and listened to it. And we had a portal going, which is hooked to a spirit box. It's kind of a reverberated amplifier that cuts out a lot of the choppiness on the spirit box. And after the song ended, across that device came one word. It was beautiful. And so I feel like, we weren't, collecting evidence or, anything like that. We were providing them with some comfort. And that meant something to me, because how many people go in and do something just for them, not expecting anything back in return. So that was wonderful. That was probably my most favorite thing that happened the whole night.
I'm going to reach out to you. Hopefully you're not so slam busy in October. I'm booking now for October, and that's a great time to have you back and have you just tell some ghost stories.
I would love to come back. I'll make time for you, Reverend Sean. So
I love you. Have a great Friday evening. Be careful out there, and I'll send you some open dates and talk to you a little bit more about this big favor you did for me that I want to thank you personally for.
Oh, okay? Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I'm glad that it made a difference. So
I'll reach out to you later.
Okay.
You have a great evening. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Good night.
Alrighty. Good night. She's cool. They don't get much cooler than that. And I forgot to ask her about what she thinks about cemeteries, but she did comment that you just got to be respectful. That's the whole thing, guys. Okay, what do I want to tell you guys? In addition to my students, keeping them in your prayers, keep the Rev in your prayers too. I have been blessed to have been accepted by the Council of Bishops for the United States Old Catholic Church to enter the seminary and go into the priesthood. So that's pretty big deal for me in my life right now. So I'm excited, and just keep me in your prayers that all turns out good. What am I going to be on next? Let's see here. I will be here this Monday. Monday's a different time. That's 5 p.m. Pacific. Oh, you guys are going to love her. Vegas's own Linda Massanintua. I just butchered her last name. I know I did. But I've known her a long time. We're friends. Talented author. Talented ghost hunter. Just a really cool person. And she's very haunted also. So she'll be here Monday night to talk about all that good stuff. What else do I want to say? I want to tell you guys that I have two of the most wonderful co-producers, Zach Clayton, Adrienne Hart. Send them your best wishes. They're getting married at the end of the month. I want to thank Things Network. I want to thank Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. I want to thank Skeleton Key Network. I want to thank Pact, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel, all for simulcasting my show. And Adrienne said, I'm going to have you on every network in the world. And she's off to a good start. So, guys, stop the violence. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Learn how to turn the other cheek. Pray for your enemies. God bless you all. Thank you all for being here. I don't have a show without all you guys. It's time to try and put a smile on everybody's face with a bad joke sent in by one of you. Okay. This one's from Eric J., New Mexico. I had a hen who could count her own eggs. She was a mathma chicken. Good night, Danny. Good night, dog. Good night, Jack. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you all. Peace.